b- before we get into that, have you guys been following what's been going on in the news lately?
I sure am.
A little bit, yeah. Lots of news.
So, a gay police officer killed his partner and his ex-partner and his ex-partner's new partner. And
horrible.
It's a tragic, horrible event. And it's like, I feel like something like that, because here in Australia, like, we don't have many firearm incidents and we don't hear of such horrific things occurring in the world. And I feel like this really, not just impacts the LGBTQI plus community. I feel like it really hits for any like Australian as well, because it's like, to hear that about their tragic passing, it just, man, like, dude, for me, it's so horrific. Like, you guys know me. Like, I'm constantly doing podcasts with people like in America and all this sort of stuff, and they find it so insane about our gun. Hey, Kel, turn your TV down, bro.
Oh, sorry, brother.
But like, I just find, like, they find it so strange that we don't have gun, like, we have gun laws here that you can't have guns and stuff like that. Like, I can remember a friend of mine, like a wrestler actually over in the States, and he's like showing me his gun collection. Going, this is what America looks like. I'm like, dude, he's like, this is what freedom looks like, motherfucker. And I'm going, well, that's what looks like what gang warfare is on about, right? But I digress. This incident was so horrific. Now, the person, the murderer was a police officer and killed these two people in cold blood with a police issued firearm. Now, there's so many things we can unpick from that alone, right? Now, coming up is the annual gay and lesbian Mardi Gras. And for any of our audience that is from overseas, from America, from the UK, whatever, they're tuning in and don't know what the Mardi Gras is, it has been going for 40 years. And Akel, if you can please just, maybe look up the actual dates, like from how long it's been going, when it was established. So it's been going
from 1978. It started off as a protest. I believe 1978. Don't quote me.
So yeah, it started off as a protest, then turned into a march, which is to celebrate, to have acceptance for the gay and lesbian community, and now the LGBTQ plus. I'm sorry if I got that incorrect, audience. Community to come and celebrate, to be free, to be who they are without judgment, and just to have complete love in their heart. Now, they originally, it was like, tell me if I'm wrong here, but it was like they were going to ban the police from marching at all.
Yeah.
Yes. So originally, due to them being triggering, they were banning the police from marching. They were still allowed to be there, but they were just banned from marching and to be able to march in their uniform. But at that stage, it was marching in general. And then, as of recently, it's now been changed. They can march, but they're not allowed in uniform. And it's been just going in a circle, to be honest.
So
yeah.
I'm taking my sunglasses off because I want to be serious here. And yeah, we have a lot of fun. We talk a lot of shit here. Now, I have gay friends, and I'm gonna be open and honest to you guys. And I don't think I've told you guys about this, but when I was a teenager, I was about 15 years old. Now, I had a friend who committed suicide, who unalived himself because he was gay. He never came out and said it, but in his note he did, and we all knew. Because he just how he was, like, it was him. Like, we still loved him, but if anyone fucked with him, like, you got to line up. And I grew up in a very, very rough area. Now, this friend of mine, he came from an ethnic background. He didn't think his family, he didn't think his friends would accept him. Like, you got to think this was like what, 97, and you know, like, bro, like it still hits me so hard. Like, bro, when I hear someone using like a homophobic slur, bro, like to me, it makes the hair on my neck stand. It makes me feel like just, oh God, you know what I mean? Like, I just got to get away from you. Like, it literally just gives me that eerie, horrible feeling because this person was so amazing. So to me, you know, I feel like the Mardi Gras and what the actual Mardi Gras stands for is something to be of acceptance for everybody. And
100%.
and to turn around and say that someone can't come and be proud to be a police officer and be a proud member of the LGBTQ plus I community goes against everything of what that stands for. And I'm sorry, like, for me, like, I don't understand it. Like, I understand that, yes, something horrible has happened, but we are condemning the many from the actions of one. And that to me is like, you can't, I just feel like this is going against what Mardi Gras stands for. And I am a straight white man here. Okay. I have, and I know people are going to say, oh, yeah, sure you do. I have gay friends. I have gay friends that my children call aunt and uncle that are that close to my family. Okay. And I'm not casting shade on anyone for this, except for people not being acceptance of the fact that these people did nothing wrong. But they should be able to march. They should be able to be proud to be who they are, to represent, to put their life on the line, but also to be a proud member of that community.
Well, I think what we're missing, really, really missing here is it is tragic what has happened. Now, I'll stand by the fact that this was not a gay hate crime. I will stand by that.
No.
What is really upsetting to me, and I understand that a community like that would be grieving over this. Just like, you know, that could have been anyone I knew.
Just like George Floyd.
We all knew. There could have been anybody that this has happened to. It's tragic what has actually happened. My problem with it is these police officers are grieving too. Imagine being like, we all understand things here. We're learning as this goes on, so we can't be quoted here, but things have been missed. We understand things haven't gone directly the way they were meant to. But imagine being that poor person that did their job and gave that firearm out. That person would be grieving. Imagine being a person, a part of that community. Sorry, I keep saying that community just because I don't know the letters. I'm a bit dyslexic. I don't want to offend anybody. But
sure.
When it comes to that, them police officers that are in that community, they will be grieving. And for some of them, they would look forward to this weekend to stand with that community and grieve with them. Yeah. And it's unfortunately this ain't like any other job. They have trained for this their whole lives. They go out and, let's be fair here, who cares what their sexual preference is? They keep all of us and our kids safe. And that is an heroic thing on its own.
Bro,
my problem is stemming from they deserve to go there and be a part of that community and grieve with them. When we're segregating them, when we're telling them they're not welcome, I would believe we're doing more harm than good, because that's a part of their life, being a police officer, just as much as part of their sexuality is a part of their life. And we don't give that community, imagine, for an example, I just turned around and said, I like scaffolding more than wrestling, and the wrestling community turned their back on me. I'd be heartbroken. It's not on that level, but they can't go to their community to grieve. That upset me. We're excluding. It's 2020 motherfucking 4. We should be at a stage of realizing we can't paint everyone with a fucking A because one person fucked up. Like, there's things happening all over the world, and we can't say these people are this and these people are that because of the actions of a few. But we're okay to do it here. No, we can't. But history is there to not be repeated. We all know what happened in 78. The horrific things they went through during that protest. We all know it. You can look it up on Google. And that was absolutely horrific. And they fought valiantly to be able to do what they're doing this Saturday. But to turn around to people in your own community and say, you're not welcome to be there, is bullshit. History is there to be learnt from, not to repeat. If we are just going to start excluding people again, like we've done in the past, what the fuck have we learned? We've learnt nothing. So how do we move forward as a fucking world if we're going to constantly look backwards? Even a broken clock's right twice a day, and this is becoming a fucking joke. I'm just so happy someone came to their senses, and I'm going to let them be a part of this day because they deserve to. They did nothing wrong. They are grieving as well. This is the actions of one person who we're starting to learn could not be mentally stable, and he has thrown all of this out of whack. I just don't believe it's fair on the individuals that risk their lives for us to cast them in the same boat. To me, that's complete and utter fucking bullshit.
Yeah, this is the problem, the same sort of thought logic that you have when when stuff like this happens, is it's one isolated incident, and it's obviously with murder, it's a very emotional topic. And for people who have lost their lives, people go around and they cops are painted one way, especially after the Black Lives Matter hysteria and everything else. And I personally don't think it's fair to put them all in a box. You can you can talk about their policies or whatever and things that you can change, but in this situation, this was a isolated incident, and I don't think groups or communities should suffer from this. This is the same example like anyone. If you would have flipped the scenario, if we were to treat the gay community one way, if we would treat the black community one way, if we treat anyone from any sort of ethnic race one way, then we are doing a disservice to society.
But bro, imagine in 2024 telling someone else, right, not to how not to dress. That'd be like saying, okay, we're gonna have this festival, but no woman wearing a hijab will be allowed to take part. Yeah. And you know what? Like even Aussie Observer, and this is a point that I wanted to talk about, is I don't know how he passed a psychological test, and that's something to become a police officer. And trust me, about 11 years ago, I looked into it. Okay, to do it, you have to there has to be one of the things that was you have to have be non-medicated for at least 2 years from any mental illness. That would include bipolar, schizophrenia, ADHD.
But I think what we also need to realise is he could have very well passed psychological. I've got friends that are police officers, and I'm going to stand on this ground now and say they are some of the most lovely people I've ever met. Bend over backwards for me at a heartbeat if I ask them to. What we're missing here is this is a very stressful job. This is there's not many things I wouldn't do as a job. That is one of them. I couldn't do it. So who's to say this downward spiral of his psychological, let's say, wasn't digressing over a period of time, and this specific instance in his love life was the straw that broke the camel's back. And if that's the case, we have other questions to ask. But on the main subject of banning communities, I don't want to hear about his psychological. That's a whole different topic. That is something different.
But bro, when I grew up, right, I'm a kid of the 80s and 90s, bro. I grew up, I was I'm not going to sit here and brag, bro, but I was a thug, bro. You know what I mean? We were like, fuck the police, bro. That was our thing, bro. That NWA song was our fucking, our anthem, bro. You know what I mean? We were kids. But you know what? When I became an adult and when I got older and when I became more mature and a little bit more educated and started being around certain police officers, I was like, man, you know what I mean? These guys aren't bad. I was just a fucking punk motherfucker that was causing shit.
But
right?
even then, it's very much it's the same sort of concept of the actions of one are going to affect the many. Because if you actually have a look, this is a great example. If you have a look with the gay and lesbian community, since then, the police have taken years. Think about it. It's 2024 and we're still having issues. They're trying to mend that bridge for years. We've done, as Australia, there's been things done to an Indigenous culture. We've been trying to repair that for years. They do their best. And then it's things like this that make them all take 3 steps backwards, which isn't fair to everyone else that's probably spent 10, 20 years trying to mend that. and trying to do the right thing and trying to just include everyone, accept what's coming, and let's all come together. Like if we all remember the Lint factory problem, the Lint cafe siege, everyone came together and was against one person and knew what was going on. No one decided it was one group's fault. That's a powerful thing.
Real.
Why can't we stand together, even us that aren't a part of the community? Why can't we stand there and say this is wrong? Because
you're saying exactly the right thing, right? Like, we are 3 straight men. Well, Akel, we're not sure about, but like, we are 2.5 straight men that are like, let's face it, man. We come on here every week, bro. Are we politically correct? No. Do we give a fuck about if we offend anyone with what we say? No. So we are 3 in like. And anyone on True Story Thursdays actually is going to be exactly what you see, is we tell you exactly how it is. We don't agree with certain things. We say what we think. We say what we feel. And that's exactly what this is. And you know what? We're not trying to throw hate on the LGBTQI plus community here. We're trying to like just
because it's not all of them either. It's not all of them either. It's outrage.
Exactly right. Exactly right.
But we are trying to understand, and we are trying to like, I don't know, the audience that we have here. We're trying to show that we care here. We care about, you know, these people that are these police officers that are in this community, and it's like they shouldn't be told how they should dress, how they should be, especially on a night like that.
Well, they shouldn't be isolated. They should be just as welcomed as everyone else. And I'm going to go as far. As this. If I'm, let's say, for instance, I'm going to a football game. I don't care. Everyone come to this football game. You like football, you come to this game. We all share the same passion. Wrestling does a similar thing. Don't matter. We don't care we don't care. You like wrestling? We like wrestling. Come and love wrestling. You're this. You're gay, you're lesbian, you identify one way or the other. Hey, we feel the same. Let's come together. And then it's, you know what? We can support that. We can support you guys being a community and standing up for each other. Let's go and do that.
Yeah.
But then you turn around and do the opposite. You give fuel to the fire to these idiots that will drag you down.
Yeah, but I firmly.
But that's the thing. We're giving them material to fucking use.
But that's the thing we always talk about, right? We always talk about this cancel culture. We talk about this woke community, and I don't think. And you said it earlier, T, bro. Like, it's not always about it's not always about being whatever it may be. But it's like. It's this thing. It's like, oh, they find a reason to cancel, to bring someone down. Because let's look at it, bro. The police have a level of power. If you're a police officer in uniform, you have a level of power over civilians. That is fact, because you are there to uphold the law. You are there to provide society with law and order. And I feel like this is just a way to turn around and say, hey, we can fucking control you. And you know what? That is what the woke, that is what these fucking insane, you know what I mean? And like I said, not all of that community is in favor of this. I personally, who have always been a supporter, have had close friends and have ended friendships with people that were homophobic, that were actually at my house when I had friends that are part of that community, and those friends that were homophobic said something to me, around me. I heard it. I turned around and said, hey, guys, by the way, thank you so much for coming to the barbecue. Can you just throw your bottles in the bin on your way out? And they're like, what? And these are people I'd known since I was a teenager. They're like, what? I'm like, if you want to talk like that and you have that view, my door's that way. Walk through it. Don't come back and delete my number.
See, I think we're all falling victim to the news media cycle too. Unfortunately, that's the way it is. I think these days with the news media cycle, it's always been this way, but it's ramped up now because of the internet, obviously, in the age of information. But where we're at right now, the most radical thing is always going to get the clicks. So I can say something very based and very normal, and no one's going to hear about it, right? But if I say something like we should do this to ban this, or something horrible, some extremist viewpoint, then the news media is going to pick that up, and then it's going to grow steam and everything else, because people aren't clicking on normal opinions anymore. What's happening is people are clicking on these extremist viewpoints and probably the most irrational and the most jump to conclusion big power stance that you can have. And that's what's happening in the media, everywhere, in our social dialogue, and that's what's sort of creating this division between everyone, I believe.
I agree.
The one thing I'll always come back to, and it's the easiest thing I got taught as a kid. You treat others the way you want to be treated. I do.
Yeah, you know what, bro? Like, look at
what do you
think?
Like wrestling that will respect me for going to do it. I've got people that don't agree with every word I say, but they respect me to listen to that, and I have to respect them and listen to them. It's treat others how you expect to be treated, and watch the world change. Hate is an emotion that takes so much out of you from doing other things. Why waste your fucking energy?
Mm-hmm.
Hey, what about what Sarge says right here? Sarge proves the best point. Like, Akel, you want to read it out? Go for it.
Just wait till there is a large incident on the night, and there's no fast response until the riot breaks out. Yeah, exactly. It's exactly what happened with the Capitol Hill occupied precinct in Seattle. They decided that they didn't want any cops involved. They started their own country in the Capitol Hill zone in Seattle. They started that, and then there was about 3 murders and about 50 overdoses in a matter of 2 weeks.
That's insane.
And there was no one to stop it. The cops like, we can't come in, threat to our safety, and that happens. So at the end of the day, like, dude,
you know what? It becomes like so crazy where it's the point. Remember the COVID riots and stuff like that when we were in lockdown and people were rioting, and they were like throwing like ink. Like, I was actually talking to Vince Russo, name drop there. And he actually I think he called me, or we were doing a podcast, something like that. And he's like, bro, like, you know, what's going on? Is everything okay? Like, I'm seeing this shit on the news. I'm going, bro, like, the police are getting ink bombed. And remember there was like photos of this guy like fucking like right hooking a horse and like